And it looks like we're live. What's going on, folks? Thanks for joining us for another video, another live stream. Just making sure everything's running smoothly. Yep, we're live. It's up on the channel.
There we
Good
go.
to go.
I see it.
I can't see it yet.
Elliot, you want to share out links real quick?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for joining us. Got a good one tonight. Got my gray bearded co-host per usual, Freelance Duck Hunting, and then our guest for the evening, Josh from Outdoor Limits. So we're going to get everything running, share out links, and then we'll start recording the podcast. What's up, Tim? How's it going? Yeah,
so we've got some people funneling in.
Yeah, we've took a little break from here recently. What's up, Dan? How's it going? Blaster from New Mexico. Hopefully you're staying
Mr.
cool. Cody Wolf, what's up, man? The Master of Crispy.
The Master of Crispy.
Is that a cooking video reference?
Probably.
Oh, I thought it was the Master of Crispy, like that was his name. I'm like, man, his girl's gonna be pissed. Should call myself the Master of Beth and see how that goes.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, thanks everybody for jumping in here. More people funneling in. We're just gonna go ahead and start recording. Dang. Low 90s in New Mexico right now. Have fun with that. What's going on, folks? Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host, Elliot, the grayest beard, alongside me tonight, per usual. And our guest for tonight is Josh from Outdoor Limits. How you doing tonight, Josh?
I'm doing excellent. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So this is a little bit of a repeat. Last night we had a little bit of a Flyways meeting. So, 2 days in a row. You sure you can handle talking to me and Elliot that often?
I wish we talked more.
Good stuff. So you've been having a good off season, staying alive through the craziest pandemic that's ever been.
I have. It's been pretty busy, actually. And so, like, the other day I went to Menards and I was looking for things to spiff up my office and the filming studio that I've got here. And I actually walked in there and they told me to get into the store, you have to wear a mask. And they were selling them at the customer service counter. It was a little ridiculous to me, but
Yep.
I had to pay $1 to go and get the paint and all the shiplap and everything I'm doing to the office.
Nice.
But it's the price you got to pay, I guess.
I actually have a similar story. So, so I had my follow-up appointment for my surgery, and they told me I had to wear a mask. I didn't have a mask. I wasn't going to buy one. And so I took my turkey hunting mask and I put it on.
Was it one of those turkey hunting masks that
it's literally got like holes
mesh
in it. Yeah, like it protected me 0%. But
yeah,
I mean, I didn't have a mask, and they're, if you want to be ridiculous, I'm gonna be ridiculous, I guess. So they let me in, put it on, they let me in.
Josh, I'm curious. Jordan and I have talked quite a bit in the past few podcasts about the pandemic and where we fall on our beliefs and stuff on it. I'm curious as to give us a quick overview of what your take is on all this stuff.
I think it's a pretty serious thing to, like, you got to take it seriously. And, I've been furloughed for the past 5-6 weeks now, and luckily I have a second source of income through YouTube, but I think it's definitely something that's very serious and it needs to be taken seriously. But we need to get the story straight on what the best precautions are to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say my opinion throughout the whole thing has kind of changed the longer it goes and the more numbers we see, where it seems like what they thought was going to happen hasn't happened. And is that due to like the countermeasures they've taken? I mean, I don't know. At this point, I just feel like it's not as serious as they said to start with.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jordan. My opinion is tend to started to shift. It's just so difficult because there's so many people putting out so many different numbers and so many opinions. It's become so politicized. It's just like any other political topic. It's so hard to get down to the truth of what exactly is the reality of the situation. It's confusing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when they're saying like their survival rates, like 99% or just like or whatever it is, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but so
yeah, I mean the survival rate might be 99%, but it's got to suck having it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You're right. I mean, but so does it sucks having the flu too. So I don't know. Again, like I feel like I can get opinionated about it, and I don't want to. So I'm just gonna try not to. But
you're not gonna be opinionated about it here. Then what's the point of you being opinionated
about? I don't know, because I just don't want to say something that's wrong. I guess because I don't know. You know what I mean? I can say what I think, but I don't know. You following me, Elliot, or no?
Yeah, I suppose you're just afraid to piss people off, essentially.
No, I'm not. I'm not afraid to. I call you plenty of names. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, let's move on then.
Okay, let's move on then. I don't know. So yeah, what else you been up to? I know, like you've been saying, you've been as your video called it, you lost your job. So how has that been for the YouTube career?
It's been pretty fun, actually. And I've had the opportunity to be able to focus full time on making videos on my channel. And for a while, pretty much weekly, I've been posting minimum 3 days a week. I got to go turkey hunting, do a lot of crappie fishing, done a lot of cooking videos, and it's been an absolute blast. And I don't think without being furloughed, I would have had this opportunity to do this kind of thing. Now, I wish that it would have happened during like November or December, but I'll take springtime. It is what it is. We get to go crappie fishing and turkey hunting and whatever, but I really wish I could spend 5 days a week duck hunting for sure.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
But this may go into September and October. It's looking like it might.
Well,
yeah, but I got a call last week. I got a call last week saying I'm going to go back to work on Monday.
Yeah. So definitely interesting to see how that all pans out. So, but yeah, I guess to step back a little bit, let's go ahead and talk about last season and how your hunting went and all that.
Last season was definitely interesting because normally I spend a lot of time on public land chasing ducks and going out in the kayak trying to find them. And this past season, the springtime before the season, we had a lot of rain and it kind of flooded all of the places that I duck hunt. And we didn't have any vegetation grow up over the growing season. And that really affected where the ducks were in the fall. And I could not really find them on public land, which is severely unfortunate because I love chasing public land ducks, but I had to kind of alter my game plan and see if I could find them on public or on private land, on ponds and fields. So it kind of changed things and threw me for a loop, but luckily I was able to make it work. I ended up chasing a lot more geese than ducks. And I think my plan for next year is to end up chasing more ducks than geese. I shot a lot of geese this year. I got my fill of it. I love folding honkers, but I love folding ducks a lot more. So watch out for me on public land next year because it's about to happen.
Awesome. So one thing I'll say about that is, with what you're saying about like the pond hunting and all that. And so I've had the opportunity to hunt Kansas quite a few times now with Elliot and then our Flyways collective last year. And, you know, when I've gone out there to hang out with Elliot, it's like almost funny because we'll be driving to the public marsh and like we'll see all these farm ponds. We keep passing. I'll like point out the window. I'm like, holy crap, look at that. There's like 200 geese over there. And Elliot barely bats an eye. He looks at it. He's just like, ah. We keep driving. I'm like, you're not going to like try to figure out whose permission it is or like inquire about it at all. If we saw it in Indiana, like everybody would have Onyx out and we'd all be like lining up at the door, but you know, it'd, you know, be leased out or somebody already has permission because there's not as many opportunities in Indiana for sure. But Elliot could just care less, it seems like, about farm ponds. He's all about those public land marshes. So I guess I'd like to hear kind of like what your opinion is on it. You know, obviously from what you just said, you prefer the public marshes somewhat, but just give us your perspective on it.
So my perspective is I try to chase public land ducks from September until early December. That's usually when the best time of year to chase them on public land is. And then after that, you know, when things kind of start icing up on public land, then I start focusing on private land spots where I've got ducks and geese. And, you know, I try to make a good balance. I really like chasing public ducks. So there's nothing better than finding your secret honey hole on public land and paddling out with a limit. But,
Yep.
you know, I'm a person that likes both worlds. I like chasing public, but I also like chasing private land birds.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I definitely can agree with that. You know, my preference is always the public land. And me and Elliot have talked about this a few times, kind of like, there's just like a struggle that goes along with public land. And it's almost like, and I don't want to like, kind of go at it in a way that's going to belittle people who only hunt farm ponds or manage land. There's a lot to that, and there's some great hunting with that as well. But there's something to be said about struggling and going out and scouting. And as Elliot put it the last time we talked about it, like anybody can go get these ducks. And you went out there and you got them. And, you know, you kind of achieved a goal there by just being successful in your endeavor there. So I definitely can agree with you on that, you know, with the public land struggle and everything. But also, every once in a while, it's nice to have kind of one of those easy hunts where everything's going to fall into place. You got one of those fire farm ponds, and it's just going to be an awesome hunt.
But something I have to say about it is, you know, you can have the best farm pond in the world, but it still takes work. And there's no, basically, the way I like to look at it is do what you find most enjoyable to you. So if you enjoy going out and sitting by a farm pond and shooting 6 ducks, do it. If you like going out with your buddy and scrapping them out on public land, go ahead and do that. Do what you find the most enjoyable, and that's what it's all about.
What if it's your most enjoyable thing is getting your limit of coots?
Oh yeah, I've never done that, but I've done a Coot shoot before, and it's pretty fun.
I've never done it either, but I've seen some pictures of people who have, and it looks like looks pretty fun for like a kind of one-off thing.
Elliot,
I don't know if you guys saw. Say that again.
How did you cook your Coot?
I just I marinated it, and then I put it on the grill. That's the only one I've ever eaten. I've shot in the last 10 years. I've shot, I think, 3 or 4 coots, and I guess I probably ate them all, but they just went into the bag. This was the first one. It's like, okay, this is a coot. So we did a teal coot taste test, and it's surprised. You'd be surprised. I mean, there was a difference, but I mean, teal is just it's hard to beat teal. So it was completely edible. It was 100% edible. I'm still not going to shoot them, but they were edible.
If they had a green head, would you shoot them, Elliot?
And they saw that disgusting little beak and those low feet? No.
Those feet are disgusting.
So I don't know if you've heard this story before, Josh, but one time I saw a coot with a broken wing, and I thought I'd grab it and nurse it back to health. And I chased after it, grabbed it, and it bit my hand and drew blood, and I dropped it, and I said, I'm done with you.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, they're not very nimble if they get on land. So this
They're
one
not
was
very nimble on water.
well, they can swim pretty good, though, if they want to.
That's true. That's true. There's been times with our surface drive, we've been coming down a canal in central Kansas where there's a lot of coots in October. And if you go just cruising right through a big bunch of them, it is crazy to see how they act. It's like they scatter, and they are the most non-athletic birds. Some of them will try to fly off and not get up on time and like run right into a mound. I mean, they're funny birds, man. They're funny birds.
So let's talk about YouTube a little bit. How's your YouTube channel been going?
It's been pretty good so far throughout the off season, and I think it goes towards being furloughed and having more time to spend on it, which I'm not looking forward to not having that time once I go back to work, but I enjoy my job and it really helps me out in my personal life. So
Yeah.
I wish I could spend more time on YouTube and be more comfortable with it, but I really enjoyed this time full time and being able to dedicate my time towards it. So it's been going pretty good. It's been all right, and I've had a lot more time to be out outdoors and enjoying myself and doing the things that I love.
Awesome. So with like kind of like the YouTube growth and all that, like I think we've talked about this in the last podcast, but kind of with your job, and go ahead and remind us what your job is again. But with your job and YouTube, like how much is your time split between the two as far as like a career?
Yeah, so I spend 3 days a week working at my job, and so I got that job right before I graduated college, and it's been awesome. I get to take kids out in the outdoors, take them fishing, canoeing, and do some like climbing wall stuff with them, and introduce them to the outdoors on field trips and things to the schools and in summer camps. It's a really enjoyable experience. I really love what I do. But what was the other part you wanted to know about the YouTube?
Yeah, I guess just how your time split between the two, you know, with working, and is it like seasonal as well, or?
Okay, yeah. So I work 3 days a week, so I get 3 days on, and then I get 4 days to do YouTube. So it's a really great balance for me, and I'm very fortunate to have found a job that supports both sides of what I wanna do, and, I'm able to do my YouTube videos, but also have that other kind of stable income, as you would call it. So I'm able to pursue my entrepreneurship, but also be able to have that one job that I go to and I get paid and, don't have to worry about things.
Awesome. So, with having that opportunity, I mean, is there a goal to go beyond that and be full time at some point? Or are you kind of just happy with kind of having, the best of both worlds?
That's a really difficult question to answer because I love what I do, and especially because the busy time for my real job, as I call it, is during the off season of YouTube. So it's a really great balance where I'm busier I'm not duck hunting with that job, but I'm busier during the time of duck hunting with YouTube. So I'm able to balance my hours throughout the year where I'm off a little bit more during duck season and I'm on a little bit more at my other job when season's not in.
Nice. Yeah.
Not everybody can find it.
Yeah. Awesome. Sounds like a perfect deal for
benefits.
You. Yeah.
I'm curious, Josh. How do you think that your YouTube channel has affected your life? Now, I know you started at a pretty young age, but do you ever sit and think, like, what would life be like without this YouTube channel and how it's impacted your life and what it means to you personally?
That's a really good question because I don't think my life would be the same without posting YouTube videos. For one, it's a hobby. I get to do what I truly enjoy, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to make money off of it, and over the years, especially recently, I've been looking back at where I started and how I've gotten to where I am now, and I'm impressed with myself for all of the work that I've done and the time that I've dedicated to it. And I don't think there's any way I could be where I am right now without being so dedicated to YouTube. And I can't imagine life without it, and all of the support that everybody else has given me, even people I don't know. But I've also gained a lot of connections to friends that I wouldn't have known otherwise without YouTube. So it's a really cool thing to have had. It's cool to have done. I don't I don't regret going full on into it, not asking any questions, because when I was first starting this, I was super into it, taking it very seriously. I was like, "This is what I wanna do. This is going really well for me at the time." I mean, this was when I had, like, 10,000 subscribers back in 2016, and I was all about it. I had nothing else to worry about other than going to class in college, and I spent the rest of my time making the videos. And I remember my dad, he kind of questioned my decision making on it. He didn't think it was as serious as I thought it was. And when I go and visit with my dad now, it's like, "How are things going? How's the business? How's the videos going?" And it's just really interesting to see how over the years things have changed, and YouTube has become such a big part of my life, and I don't think I'd be where I am right now without it. I don't regret any of the decisions I've made, and it's just such a cool experience, and I wanna keep it growing.
And we've talked about this in the past when you've been on here, how the face of waterfowl hunting has changed since you started on YouTube, where there was basically no one doing YouTube waterfowl vlogging, and any kind of YouTube or any kind of waterfowl content was typically network TV and highly sponsored. And now I feel like that YouTube waterfowling is the number one influence on young waterfowlers getting into the sport. I think guys in their teens, their 20s, and even just guys getting into the sport at all, I think when they go to wanting to see how to do stuff or just watch it, they're going to YouTube. And you being one of the very, very top waterfowl influencers, and your age, you're in that demographic, you have so much influence really on the next wave of waterfowl. And when you get to be 45, 50, and you look at the waterfowlers that have come up to the time, you've got a great impact on that generation. Do you ever think about that when you go into making your videos and on the things that you say on your videos, like that you actually influence how people's shot selection, people's ethics, the way they do things? I mean, you actually influence them. Does that go into your thought process at all?
Yeah, so what I like to do is I like to provide content that's, one, family friendly and clean, because that is something that all across the board everybody's gonna respect, is having clean content, no cussing, keep it clean and ethical, and let the viewers decide what they like and don't like. And then I also like during the off season, I post videos that are helpful to waterfowl hunters. So I do gear reviews for people who are looking to find the new decoys that they're gonna buy or the new blind bag. They wanna make sure they're getting quality gear, because all of us started from nothing, other than a select few. And I for sure started from absolutely nothing. I started with a hand-me-down shotgun and cheap Winchester shells and 6 decoys. And I worked my way up from there. I knew going into that, I wanted to buy gear that I was gonna like. So I like to make gear reviews for people to know that they're gonna get what they expect out of their gear. And so I like to make entertaining content, but I also like to make content that people can go back to for helpful advice on, here's how you set decoys right, or here's how you call done. And this is what I think of these decoys. Here's a good video showing what these decoys look like, how they've held up for a season. And I like to make myself, I'm not in it for the glory. I'm not in it for the subscriber count. I'm in it to do what I enjoy, and I'm also into it for people to learn and also get to know what things that they need to go duck hunting and what gear is actually reliable and worth the money they spend on.
Awesome. Definitely agree on that. Real quick, Josh, let's have you drop out of the call and jump back in. We're getting a little bit of lag. See if we can clear it up real quick.
Okay.
Alrighty. Let's hear you.
Is that a little better?
That's a little better. Alrighty. Good stuff. And jump back into it. So yeah, I guess good part to transition into kind of talking about what kind of plans you got going on for the upcoming season as far as you got any traveling or are you gonna stay around Kansas and Nebraska this year? What you got planned for this season?
At the beginning of the year, I decided that I wanted to travel a lot more, and I think that's still going to happen, but I might travel within the state just to stay local and stay close to home. But I really, really, really want to focus on public land ducks this next year. I spent a lot of time on private land this past season chasing geese, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. But I think I missed out on a lot of public land ducks, and I enjoy it. I want to do what I enjoy. I don't want to do something that I feel like my subscribers and my viewers want to see. Like, that's not me. I want to do something that I enjoy. And I want to do the things that I like to do. And chasing public land ducks is hands down one of my favorite things because when you find that little honey hole on public land, or you don't, you just go out in the marsh and you find a good spot. You're like, hey, this looks pretty good. I didn't scout this the day before. I'll set up my 2 dozen decoys and see what happens. And then you come out with 3 ducks. I enjoy those hunts,
Yep.
and I know my viewers do too. So the private land scene is fun. I really enjoy it. I like shooting when it's a geese, but there's definitely something about chasing public land ducks that I missed out on this past season. But I didn't have any options otherwise because it was either chase private land geese or maybe shoot 1 duck on public land. So I went with the goose scene this past season. And next year, I'm definitely going to get out, find some nice public land spots, and chase the duck out there.
Do you want to kind of do the name drop of the public land spots you're going to be hunting?
I'm going to be hunting in Indiana, right next to Jordan, and we're going to shoot a lot of nothing.
Well,
Jordan.
Not too far from the truth.
Josh, have you been out and done any poking around as far as scouting what the areas look like and what kind of vegetation's growing in, anything like that?
I haven't. I've never done that in the past. I've seen that you've done that, and I'd like to maybe start doing that a little bit.
I do it, number one, because it's just so enjoyable. I catch the cooler days and go out and just look at what. In fact, I found a place I kind of knew was there, but I never looked at it. And it's got smartweed and wild millet growing. And seeing those places dry and seeing what's growing in them and thinking about ducks dropping in, it's a fix. I'll tell you, that's just what it is. It's just a duck hunting fix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would do a fix for me. I mean,
hey, in May.
In May, you're right.
This place I found 2 days ago. I knew it was on the map, and I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this place. I'm so excited.
What'd you say the name was again?
I'm not even sure I would give Josh that name at this point.
You sure about that?
I probably would. I probably would. It's a cool place.
I've got an idea where you were.
After, I'm gonna have you guess, and when we're done, and we'll see.
How about he text you? Text him right now. I want to know if you're right or not.
Okay, I'll text him.
We can see if he knows.
I'd be willing to bet you he doesn't even know this place exists.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong, but I had a guess.
If he names it, I'm going to be really, really impressed.
Yeah.
See what he's got. I don't think.
Let's see. We got to
Nope.
keep these public land
Nope.
spots secret.
Nope. I bet you when I tell you the name, you'll have never even heard of it. Is my guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know it existed until I first started hearing the name of it 2 years ago. And this place is right under my nose the whole time. Anyway, I
Is
don't
it
wanna
in
say
the
it.
area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's 15 minutes from my house.
Don't get too
But
specific.
when we're done,
gonna have people
I'll tell you when we're done.
we're gonna have people like triangulating the position of Elliot's house after this.
I know I've already told too much.
All right, so talking about hunting, and your travels and all that. So like, I guess who's gonna be in your crew this year when you're hunting?
I don't necessarily have a crew.
So I know you hunt like with Blake a lot. He's from Nebraska though, right?
Mm-hmm. He lives in Nebraska. I go out there during maybe teal season and their opening day weekend, and I was fortunate enough to go up there during the Flyways Collective. But it's hard for me to make that trip out there because it is quite a long ways.
Yeah. Okay.
And
hard
Blake
to
comes
hold
down.
a good crew.
Blake comes down to Kansas, a couple times during the season too.
Yeah. So is it going to be like, are you looking at a lot of solo hunts then, or are you just going to kind of take the season as it comes? You don't really have a plan.
I really kind of take it as it comes.
Yep.
Do you get a lot of offers to travel to different states? And I'm sure you do. And why have you never taken anyone up on them, out of curiosity?
That's a good question. I do get quite a few offers from people, and I like to stick with what I know. And sometimes it's a little bit skeptical to take an Instagram message and go travel 6 hours away to a different state and be like, okay, hey guy, never met you before.
Yeah.
Let's go duck hunting. So there's a little bit of skepticism in the messages, and people can oftentimes talk up spots, but I have gone on hunts with people that have sent me messages in the past, but I like to stick with what I know, and I really enjoy just doing my thing. And, maybe someday I'll go take another trip, but there's that kind of, I don't know if I trust you or not kind of feeling sometimes.
Yeah. And I think
to me, it's uncomfortable to hunt with people for the first time I don't know, just blind like that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not even just in the first couple hours of the hunt, I don't feel comfortable. I don't know.
It's the problem is with Elliot when he goes and hunts with people like that, he's just worried that they're going to get onto him about how far out he's shooting and all that. And when he's stretching his shot out, to
my problem.
Mm-hmm.
The real thing is I'm worried that they're going to be stretching it out like crazy.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's very cool to be able to connect with people that you've never met before and go hunt with them.
Oh yeah.
And I've built a lot of good relationships with people that have reached out to me and gone on hunts, and now like they're really good friends of mine. So it just depends on the situation for me. And if you live close to me, then it's probably a higher likelihood than me going out to Utah to meet some random dude to go hunt with. Like if you're an hour and a half away from me, I know the area that you hunt in, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah. No, that's how I got a lot of my Michigan connections last year, because I'd never hunted Michigan, and I had some people hit me up when I talked about wanting to kind of chase the openers, and that was super fun last year, going up and chasing the openers in Michigan, because the way it works in Michigan is like UP opens up 3 weeks before us, then Central opens up 2 weeks before us, then Southern Zone Michigan opens up the week before us, and then Northern Zone Indiana opens up. So I can hunt 4 openers in a row. So, that was
that
cool.
sounds a lot like what I do with Nebraska and Kansas, because Nebraska, they open up, and then the week later, Kansas opens up, and the next zone of Kansas opens up the week later. So it's pretty much the same thing for me.
Yep. For sure. And I think kind of on the same line with those messages, a lot of the people, they watched content, they watch your content, they probably already feel like they know you, opposed to you, that's the first time you're talking to them. And that's, I think there's something to be said about that, which is, it's a positive thing for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of times, like sometimes I meet people out when I'm just out doing something. They're like, hey, you're the guy from YouTube. I'm like, yeah, I am. How's it going? And over the years, I've definitely been able to make a more relatable conversation to them, because when I first started having those encounters, it was very awkward for me because I was like, "I don't know you. You somehow know me, and you know me better than I know me." And it's kind of a difficult situation to be in, and I'm sure you guys have probably had that in the past. You're like, "Hey, guy, I don't know you, you know me." And it's a very cool situation to be in when you meet people that view the channel and they're enthusiastic about meeting you and being able to hold that conversation. I definitely think I've gotten better at that over the years. Have you guys ever had that kind
I had one early a few years ago where I was coming out of a hunt with Elijah. It was a youth hunt, and I was coming around the corner real slow, and this guy inside the truck stopped me. And he's like, "Hey, you're freelance duck hunting." And I'm like, "Yeah." So we get talking and everything. Well, fast forward now, he's on a lot of my videos now. It's Jason and his little son Hunter, and he's like one of my better hunting buddies at this point. And it's like we share information all the time, and that's the best experience I've had with that. Where he's like now he's just like a friend. I forget how I even met him. I just view him as like a close friend.
Yeah, no, I have that too with one of my buddies, Kevin from Michigan. He invited me on all kinds of hunts, and they do pretty well up there, and we get along really well. So, but I think for me, going if you ever go to like a show that's local in your state, you'll have a lot of. It seems like a lot of your subscribers from YouTube are from your state. They like following the local guy. So I see a ton of people when I go like Indiana Expo. I'm just talking to people all the time that watch the YouTube videos. So it's definitely pretty cool seeing that.
Rogers Waterfowl Weekend.
Yep. That'll be your guys' home turf.
I did have a situation that played out over about a 3-year period at a particular reservoir where I swore this kid was stalking me. He drove by and yelled out like, "Freelance duck hunting" or something. As him and he was like a high school kid, cruised by in his truck. And then everywhere for the next 2 or 3 years during the same weekend, every place I scouted, I was seeing his truck. I saw him at the road, like putting binoculars on me as I was scouting. The next morning, he was like right in that same spot. And I knew from his license plate what county he was from. I get a phone call from the city where I knew that he lived. And he was like pranking me, pretending he was like Sitka and stuff. And this thing went on like over a 3-year period. Then finally, I met him sometime like walking around, and he pretended like he didn't know me. And like it was odd. Aiden and I joked about it all the time. Somehow he put like a tracker on my truck or something. Because everywhere I showed up scouting over this weekend, there he was. And the worst part of it, Aiden and I were laying out one day, and he was right in there, almost on top of us, blowing his call, just like screaming at him this awful call. And it was early in the season, and these gadwalls were kind of trying to work. I'm like, man, if that dumb kid would just leave, these birds will start working. Finally, about 10, he left. And sure enough, from like 10 to 11, we started working these gadwalls, and they were dropping right in, and we were shooting them. He's been a heavy topic of discussion between Aiden and I.
Well, he's probably listening right now, so you better watch out.
He is. He needs to chill with the stalking.
Alrighty. Elliot, are you going to talk about water hunting and field hunting?
Well, I mean, we talked about public land hunting. I guess it would be interesting for Josh to give us just like top of your head, top 3 tips to water hunting. Top 3 things that are most crucial to you. If you could just give some kid who's never hunted, it's like, "Hey, Josh, I'm going out. I've got a dozen decoys. Don't know what I'm doing. Give me 3 tips."
Okay. So tip number 1, scout. If you scout and you find the ducks and find out where they're going and find out where they're hanging out, be there. Because with your dozen decoys, you'll be able to get the job done no problem. Number 2 is make sure you have motion on the water. If you got a good wind, you're set. Your decoys will move in the wind. But if you don't have any wind that day, make sure you've got some sort of jerk string or some sort of water rippling device to make sure your decoys are lively. Okay, so do your scouting, find out where they're going to be, make sure that you've got good motion in your decoys because that's going to suck them really in. Okay, and then tip number 3 is make sure that your hide is as good as it can be. Make sure you're invisible. Make sure you're not there, because if the ducks see you, they're gone. So make sure you've got a good hide. If you got to build a blind on public land, you can do it. If you got to bring your hide in, make sure it's grassed in and looking good and matching your surroundings. If you're able to get those 3 things done, you'll be able to get.
Awesome. Definitely, I can agree on all those. Definitely very high up on the priorities for any hunting as well as water hunting.
Those are the basics.
Yep.
If you don't cover those basics, you're not going to kill ducks.
Yeah.
And most people don't hide, is the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever the ducks aren't working, that's the number one thing. Just, make sure your blind's brushed in. Make sure if you're a natural blind, one thing I've started doing that I've picked up from Elliot, I'm pretty sure, is when they're not working in and you're using natural vegetation, a lot of times, it's better to move back 10 yards opposed to sitting right on the bank. Even if you're 10 yards further away and now it's a 20-yard shot instead of a 10-yard shot, and the birds were flaring at 40 yards, you're a net positive for how close they're going to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so this past season, I was listening to a podcast, and they mentioned that a lot of times people go out and adjust the decoys whenever the birds aren't working. And I was that person. If the birds weren't working, the first thing I did was go and readjust the decoys. And after listening to that podcast, hearing them say, "Don't readjust your decoys, look at your hide," I started looking at my hide and started readjusting that and making sure everything was hidden better. The birds started working. So make sure your hide is as best as it can be, and that is the biggest thing that you can do for yourself.
I cannot agree more. I feel like if the birds are flaring 90% of the time, it's your hide, it's your face, it's your looking up. It's that is just the number one thing that flare stuff.
And it's so easy to blame it on decoys, not the hide, too.
Or the spinner.
Yeah, everybody blames it on the spinner.
Everyone blames it on the spinner.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about spinners?
I like them, especially early on. But honestly, I rarely pull them. There's times where I haven't, but I just haven't seen a negative impact from them. From any time that I've pulled them. I think sample size is still pretty small for everything, but I would say I like them overall.
I can tell you I've tried to pull the spinner probably at this point 30 to 40 times on days when the birds aren't working properly, and only about 2 out of those 30 to 40 have I noticed any positive. It's normally a negative. I mean, I'll have birds skirting the decoys, not finishing, and so I'll pull the spinner and they won't even skirt the decoys. And then I put the spinner back out and they skirt the decoys again. So I'm completely positive. I don't like more than 2, and I like those ones with the remote, where you can turn them on and off.
Yeah. That's interesting because this past season, I pretty much swore off spinning decoys unless I was in a field. And I shot a lot of ducks without spinners. And so I think motion on the water is more beneficial than having the spinners out.
Yeah, I think that even if any day that you don't have motion on the water, you're in trouble, For me, I think I like both. I like having, we use the motion duck decoy spreader, and that puts out a ton of ripples in the water with, having the 8 ducks out there. It literally can fill your whole spread with ripples. And then, you have your spinning wing alongside that. That's my deadly combo.
I wish I could do away with the spinner. I would love to. I'm not stuck to it. I keep trying, and it never, ever improves anything. And it's hard for me to continue to keep pulling it when it just constantly makes things worse for me.
It's interesting because I feel like everybody has a different opinion about it, which just means like ducks are ducks,
For real, it is. But there's one situation that I will never not have a mojo out or a spinning wing or whatever you want to call them. It's field hunting ducks. If you don't have a spinner out in a field and you're hunting ducks, in my experience, I could be wrong. If you don't have a spinner out in a field when you're hunting ducks, you will not have any ducks give you a look.
Hmm.
Do you guys have any experience with that?
Honestly, I'll say that we don't get to hunt ducks in the field a lot, and when we do, the spinner isn't the thing we think of, and maybe that's something we should look into more as far as my group is. And I mean, we shoot them. I wouldn't say we have crazy smash out limit hunts in the field for ducks, but we shoot them without the spinner. But like I said, we haven't really tried it with it. So I think I've heard it from Bobby Hayes was saying the same thing. Like he likes to use, he said 6 spinners when he field hunts ducks. They want to use at least 6. Yeah. So, I mean, I believe it on that, and you've seen it other places too, and you're saying it. And for me, I just haven't done it enough. I'm hoping we can get some more field duck hunts, and I can convince the guys. Tim, the guy that I hunt with, one of the guys I hunt with, is not a huge fan of mojos for whatever reason. And so I think for the field hunts, and he usually has the permission on the fields we hunt, it would be up to us to kind of convince him to try that. So, but if
you're in a field without it out, you'll kill ducks with spinners.
Yeah.
You'll kill more ducks with spinners.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much universally agreed upon. We don't do any field duck hunting, so I wouldn't know, but that seems to be pretty much universal thought.
That's interesting. I wonder what makes the difference between a field, though. Like, if they work in a field so well, why wouldn't they work just as well in water? I mean, what's the difference there?
Think about how easy it is to see a duck on the water as opposed to a cut cornfield that hasn't been tilled over. Yep. It's a lot easier for them to see spinning wings flashing in a cornfield than it is on water. Like, it's more noticeable and it's easier for them to hone in on in a field. And also think about, like, in a public land setting, think about how many people have 2, 3, 4 spinners out in a public land spread as opposed to not having any spinners out at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Alrighty. So, the moment we've been waiting for. Let's talk about the Flyways collective we're going to be having. Let's do a little bit of teaser. So, I guess we don't have a ton of details, but what have you been hearing about that, Josh?
I've been hearing that it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be kind of up in the game last year. Last year, we spent most of our time, actually all of our time, on public land, and we'd go out and hunt, and then we'd try and find birds for the next day. We'd get back late at night, clean the birds, and pretty much go to bed. We were all dead beat tired. And I think this next year, we're going to make some changes, and we're going to be on top of our game and be able to produce some off-hunt content. So back at the lodge doing things and being able to do kind of podcasts, side content, like how-to videos, tip videos, things like that. And the possibilities are endless. We're going to have more time to do hunts together, also do the content where we're not hunting, being able to just enjoy the time together and film that as well.
Yep. Yeah.
For those of you that are just listening, you're not aware what the Flyways Collective is. It's a group of 6 YouTube waterfowl content creators, Jordan, Josh, and myself, and 3 others that kind of joined an organization just to kind of collab together. And it's fun just to be able to talk to people, in our real lives, we don't just talk to guys to do what we're trying to do on YouTube. And just to have you guys to talk to about it is really fun and interesting. But we're just banded together to kind of do it together and promote each other and have a lot of fun in the process.
Yep. And hopefully, some of the viewers find it fun to see kind of different worlds collide as far as people hunting from across the country making the videos and then joining up for a weekend of doing it. So, we definitely always see the positive feedback from you guys. So, that's a big part of it for us as well. And I know we're all looking forward to getting together. And this time, like Josh said, having more time to relax, because I think every night we're like going to bed by like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like you said, go to bed, but it was so late. And the first night, you guys didn't even sleep. which was insane.
We didn't. That's right.
So, going to bed at 2 or 3, and then Elliot's like getting on me for like being slow. I'm like, man, I'm trying, but it's like I'm still half asleep.
It'll wear you out.
Yeah.
The Ductator has to be on time.
Yeah, Ductator. He's always afraid somebody's gonna steal his spot.
I'm so paranoid on public land. I am so paranoid that I have to get up so early just to ease my nerves. I want to be the first person there by like an hour and a half. I just can't take it.
Can I say what time we get up? Like, whenever I've gone to Elliot's, like, I mean, it's ranged from we slept out in the marsh and gone out there at like 10:30 and just slept in the marsh. It's ranged from that to, I think the latest you let me sleep in is one night we got to sleep into 1:50.
Holy crap. The funny thing is, I have never had anybody beat me to my spot, other than like maybe a couple of times. And, I usually try to get there by 4 o'clock on public land to get out there and get my spot. So that is where I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one time, late January, where Corn talked me into sleeping an extra hour, and this cool-looking duck hunter with dreads shot his limit in our spot, and we shot one duck all day. And I said, that will never happen again. 2 years later, I slept in an hour again, and it happened again. And I said, okay, that's it. Not going to happen. I'm not going to get beat.
Not lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like getting beat in.
Or,
I don't like getting beat in.
Or you just scout too much. You get dead set on one spot.
I mean, normally I've got lots of options. I mean, if it's an opening day, I'll have 7 options on like an opener. So, but in 150, that Jordan's exaggerating a little bit. I do not like getting up in the one, but we will get up at 2 o'clock and 2:15 a lot. But sometimes we're
sorry, I was off by 10 minutes.
Well, so you said the latest was 150. The earliest would have been 150.
No,
I mean when you're the thing is
the earliest was 10:30 when we slept in the marsh.
Well, that didn't count.
How's that not count? That's what time we went to the marsh.
It was an unusual experience because we had an opener, and literally on the whole complex from a full day of scouting, there was 2 good spots on the whole complex, A and B, and we picked the wrong one. But I mean, if we didn't get one of those 2 spots, we were not going to do well, and I knew that for a fact. So that's why we did that.
Yeah. Okay.
But normally, I mean, if you're talking a big boat ride across the reservoir and stuff, and if there's a spot that I know that I absolutely want that one spot, we're gonna hit the boat ramp. We'll be at the boat ramp by 3:30.
Yeah.
I miss that.
I enjoy the getting up early. It doesn't bother me. It adds to the excitement for me, honestly. So you got plenty of time. You don't feel rushed. You can set up everything, sit around, have some coffee. I mean, I like it.
Yeah, I will say, kind of almost on a different line, but from what you said, Elliot, like one thing I picked up is taking a lot of food when we go out to hunt, and enjoying that kind of aspect of it. Do you guys want to close this live stream out, podcast out with a Q&A, getting some of these questions? We're getting a few questions in chat, so you guys cool with picking up some questions?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Josh, go ahead and let people know where they can find you across social media, everything, website.
Oh, like on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was about to put this link on social media. So you can find me on YouTube at Outdoor Limits. I've got a Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Go ahead and find me on outdoor.limits or outdoor_limits, depending on the social media platform. Just look for Outdoor Limits. And Snapchat is KSFisherman, KSFisherman. So check me out there.
You ever miss your old Kansas Fisherman YouTube handle?
No, it doesn't seem so fitting. But on the logo, if you guys can see, there's a fish hook on the logo. This is kind of the new design.
Yeah.
But there's a fish hook and a duck head.
That's pretty spiffy.
It's a good
It's
logo.
super spiffy.
Elliot, first question's for you. Did Aiden move yet for love?
Well, Aiden is in love. There is no doubt about that. He is absolutely in love. But he got through this wind energy program, and now he's like, I don't know if I want to do that job. So
oh my goodness.
he looks like he's going back to college to get into like wildlife biology kind of stuff. And so he's either going to go to K-State or KU. So if he goes to KU, it'll be 2 years, and we'll be hunting together pretty much every hunt. So fingers are crossed he's going to go to KU, and we can have.
I bet there's more than fingers
with
crossed with that. You're probably egging him on every chance you can.
I'm trying to not try to push it. Yeah, that's what you started as, isn't it, Josh?
It was. I started out with ecology and biodiversity.
I remember a video of yours I watched long ago where you were out and you guys were like electrocuting fish to do fish counts or something.
Uh-huh.
That was an interesting video.
That was a fun day.
It was a long time ago.
You ever get shocked when you do that?
No. Not unless you put your hand in the water.
Gotcha. All right, picking up a question. Do you guys like pulsators? I've used them a little bit. They just don't put enough ripples out for me. What do you guys think?
I've used the Mojo butt rippler, and it does okay. You need like 6 of them in your spread to do something, but
yeah,
I actually thought about buying a bunch of pulsators this past season and ditching spinning wings because I just think that motion on the water is so much better than spinning wings.
Yep.
Yeah, normally I don't think they put out enough. On 0 degree wind days, they don't put out enough. But I was hunting with Rob, you know Rob, Josh, and we're hunting on one of his little ponds, and there was only like a 5 to 6 mile an hour wind. And for some reason, that pulsator that he was using, I don't know if it was a stronger one than mine. I could not believe how much ripples it was putting across the whole spread. It was fantastic. I'd never seen one do that well before.
I bought one, and I left Chief in the garage alone for like 30 seconds, and he literally chewed off just the little tiny clip that's at the bottom of it where your rigging goes for it, your line and anchor. Like literally, that's the only, it's like he literally took his tooth and bit right there and chewed that off. Like the rest of the thing is fine, and so it's like I can't use it.
Oh, here's a good question. Steven is asking about the Solo Sportsman.
Top 3 pros, top 3 cons. Josh, you want to go first?
I'll go first.
I guess we could all say a pro. Yeah, let's all say one of each.
Okay, so a pro that I like is how easy it is to paddle through water, as opposed to the kayak I use, which is the Topwater 120. That Solo Sportsman, it just glides through the water, and it's really easy to maneuver.
Yeah,
and it's super lightweight. It's like only 53 pounds, I believe. So it's really lightweight.
Yeah.
One con is that it is very short if you're trying to use it to lay out hunts. So what I do is I take my redhead kayak blind, I take the seat out of my Old Town Solo Sportsman, and then I use that blind in there and keep that as my seat. So that kind of shrinks the space that you can sit in. It's doable. I'm not very big. I mean, I'm only like 5'10", but it's still kind of cramped for me. I prefer that top water. So my biggest con with the Solo Sportsman is that it is a little bit tight if you're going to be using this layout hunt with that kayak line.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say the biggest con for me is weight capacity. I'm a little bit bigger, and my dog's a bigger dog. So if you want to try it with a dog, it's really just not made for that. But as far as using it by yourself, it's a lot more fitting to that. And there's certain situations where it definitely excels in. Like Josh was saying, it's super light. So anytime I want to take it somewhere where I got to drag it, I mean, that thing is money for that. Like there's a cornfield that we access the river through, and we got to park up at the top by the lane at certain times of the year. Obviously, you can't make ruts in the farmer's property, or he's not going to let you access. But dragging that Solo Sportsman canoe, and I think it weighs like 53 pounds. I mean, you literally can grab it with one hand on your side and walk it down there. So compared to anything else out there that I know of, I think it's the lightest.
Yeah, you guys, did you do your con, Jordan?
Yeah, my con was the weight capacity because me and Chief, I can't really take much gear if I'm trying to take Chief with me.
Yeah, you guys really did a good job of hitting them. I mean, we traditionally do a lot of portaging, where we put our kayaks on our big 18-foot boat, go up and then portage with it. You can't have a better craft for portaging than that 119. It's just so light. Cause I've got two H12s and I've got the 119, and the H12s are light compared to your traditional layout boat. But I mean, the difference between the H12 and the Solo Sportsman as far as weight, I mean, you can just pick that thing right up over your head. So portaging is fantastic. Like Josh said, cutting through the water, it's fast and smooth. I love having one H12 and one Solo 119. It's a great boat if you're bringing a buddy along and you're the main gear carrier, because the H12 has a lot more carrying capacity than the 119 does. So I think having both of them for me is just the best of both worlds. And it's a fantastic little fishing boat. I'd much rather use the 119 than the H12 for fishing. In fact, I'm going to do a video coming up here in August comparing the two and going through pros and cons. But it's a solid little boat. But if you really want to use one for layout hunting, like Josh said, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Although I'm working with a company and we're coming out with a new layout device that will work perfectly for boats like that. So there will be a solution to the hide with it. It's a good little boat.
All right. So this kind of combos with another question, but Tim asked who's going to switch to a 410 first. Also, Kevin asked earlier on who's the best shot between us. So I probably won't switch to a 410 anytime soon. I love shooting my 20 gauge. I think the best thing for a 410 is maybe like a beginner if you want them to shoot water swat a duck in the decoys or something. But besides that, it's like might as well go up to a 20 gauge.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to shoot a 12 gauge all the time, unless I get a 20 gauge.
Hey, my 20 gauge is a lot of fun to shoot. I like shooting the 20 gauge, especially for ducks. Honestly, I like it anytime. I just try not to do it in the later season, just to keep it clean, I guess.
Maybe someone could correct me, but I feel like shooting a 410 full time, I'm not even sure that's quite ethical. I mean, it's just so. Have you ever held a 410 shell in your hand?
There's
like barely any shot in that thing.
Yeah.
And so I just don't want to try to shoot mallets with a 410 and leave ducks flying away. One of my number one concerns in waterfowl hunting is that ducks don't fly away with wounds they can't recover from. I don't want to maim them. And I feel like with a 410, I personally would just be afraid that I would be wounding more birds. And maybe someone's used a 410 a lot, and somehow I'm wrong. But that's how it feels.
And then best shot is probably not me. I have good streaks and I have bad streaks, so I don't know. I don't know which one of you guys wants to fight for the best shot.
I mean, we've all hunted together. We're all competent hunters. Competent shots. Who knows?
Yeah. State Line Outdoors asks a few things on my mind next season. Any suggestions on how to get a bigger concentration of ducks in your hole? Well, I would say public land, obviously you're scouting to find the biggest concentrations and make that your hole to hunt. But if you're doing private land stuff, then it's more about, growing millet or whatever for your food source. Obviously, you can't bait, so that's your only option. You guys got anything, any ideas on that?
No.
From what I've seen of Josh's videos, I feel like he pulls in more big groups in the fields than on water. Is that accurate, Josh?
Oh yeah, you're gonna get a lot more big groups in the field.
It's hard to land huge groups in public land on water. It's not easy. It's hard.
No, on public land you're gonna get your 2s, 4s, 6s.
Mm-hmm. If we get 12 on public land, we're elated.
All right. I'm trying to figure out. Chris Polk is asking a question. You see that one? I'm not sure what his question is.
Who?
Chris
Chris
Polk.
Polk.
You ever?
Oh, I think he was. He's talking about the 119. If you've ever swamped them, Jordan did.
Oh, you mean go over the top? Yeah. So that was honestly, yeah, that was a little bit of a combo of my fault and just a situation. So I was pushed up on a bog with the back end trying to kind of hide in the cattails with it, and it broke through the bog and kind of got me off center. And then once I got the water in there, it was pretty sketchy. Honestly, it's pretty scary. So yeah, I think you probably should obey or not obey, but like follow the suggested weight limit. You know, if you're getting too much gear in there and your dog and yourself, and then something like that happens, that's probably why they have those limits. So that's why I tend to say that, you know, for certain situations like having a dog and a bunch of gear, you need something that's going to be a bigger weight capacity, or just take all that stuff in consideration. If you don't hunt with a dog though at all, I think you're going to be fine with the weight capacity on it.
I would be worried about it in the really cold on deep water myself. I don't feel like it's substantial enough to be in 12-foot water and, 20 degrees. I would be nervous personally.
See, I've taken on the river and without my dog though, again. And then I'll put a lot of gear in like a sled or something like that. And then you don't have any gear really. I'll keep like my valuables, like my blind bag and my gun in my kayak with me. And then I felt pretty good about that. But I think if you're adding on a lot of weight, then yeah, you're going to be careful around those deep water situations as well.
So Josh, what's your thought between the top water and the 119? Because I know you've been in both of those a lot as far as in deep water and safety.
Yeah, so I prefer the top water 120. Pretty much any scenario it gets thrown at, because it holds a lot more gear for one. So I'm able to fit more decoys and feel more comfortable paddling it. I've got a lot more room in it when I'm using it with the blind and being able to layout hunt. But one thing that the 19 has is I'm able to use it in public marshes and be able to glide through that water really quick and easy. So if you're just taking it to a public marsh and using that 119, you'll be doing amazing. You might have a little bit more of a cramped boat, but it's going to get you where you need to be if you're just dropping in on the boat ramp of a public marsh. If you're going out in the lake, I would be cautious with it, and I'd be mindful of the amount of gear you're putting into it, because as opposed to topwater 120, it is a little bit more tippy, and it doesn't have as high of a weight capacity. I mean, the topwater holds 150, 200 pounds more weight capacity than the 119. So you need to consider that and really pay attention to the weight capacity of your kayak. And I personally prefer the topwater 120 because it's a little more spacious. I'm able to fit more gear in there. It's better. It's a more comfortable experience for me.
Alrighty. Theo asked, are you guys using the 4-rig motion duck system or the 7-rig? I use the 7-rig. Elliot has been using the 4 because he broke one of his.
I'm hard on gear.
Yeah,
I'm hard on gear. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So, I mean, they both work. Obviously, the 7 puts out more ripples than the 4, just because it's wider. That 4 is just kind of like a square. You can kind of spread it out further in your spread with the 7 duck system. So, yeah. And as far as no wind, yeah, it's definitely huge for the no wind. I mean, I think it's if you have like a lot of wind, like a 20 mile per hour day, or even like 15 to 20 mile per hour wind day, it's not as big of a deal to use it. But definitely, anywhere like 7-8 mile per hour and less, you're going to want to use. It's almost like a necessity to have that, unless you have some other type of motion. But I mean, from what I've seen, it just puts out way more than any other type of jerk rig.
I think the 7 is substantially better than the 4. It's better than just adding 3 extra ducks. I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, and the thing about the 7 versus the 4 is the 4 almost moves kind of like linear, but the way when you have the 7, it kind of twists back and forth, and it puts kind of a more of a natural look opposed to like a man-made, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of everything like twists and flows back and forth. So I hear you on that. All right. We're going to have a last call for questions. And I think we'll wrap her up. So thanks again, Josh, for coming on. Awesome podcast. Good talking to you again.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Yep. Any last words, Elliot?
Nope, just appreciate having you on, and stick around and I will give you the name you're dying to get for that location.
Can't wait.
Alrighty. Guys, I'm going to secretly leave on the live stream for that too. So last question, Jim. No, I didn't get my Pintel, but next year. There's always next year.
Yeah, someone didn't want him to get one, so he proclaimed the bird was a redhead.
I got pranked. Alrighty, folks. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, Josh from Outdoor Limits, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, live stream crew, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.